My name is Rondeau. Where was I when I heard that Felicia Barnes had gone missing? Well, it was Christmas time, and it was really one of those rare moments where everything seemed to be perfect, right? It was Christmas time, presents were under the tree, and everybody in my family was happy and healthy. And then there was just a little blurb at the bottom of the television screen talking about a father's frustration, something to do with searching for his daughter, and was frustrated at police response or lack thereof. I didn't think anything about it. The next day, it still bothered me, so I did some searching around on Facebook and social media and found the case that was referenced to. It was Russell Barnes expressing frustration about his daughter being missing and confused response of the police department, looking for help, looking for answers. And so I sought out to write a reward check to the reward fund. And then as I got further into it, I realized there really wasn't a reward fund per se, so I helped set that up. I have a Homeland Security investigative intel analysis background. That's what I did for a living at that time. I still do some of that. I've branched off into some other things now, but I felt that I could leverage my in-place network and know-how to help with the search. And so I just showed up unannounced on scene and introduced myself to the father. Other great people were there, the guardian angels and others, and I got to know some fantastic people, some of whom, like myself, never knew the Barnes family prior to Felicia going missing. That's something that's been out there a lot, that I was a family friend. I became friends with the father after the fact, but I had no prior knowledge of the Barnes family or Felicia. It was just really a dad calling for help and another dad responding, and I had this belief that, if you don't confront evil where you find it on your terms, well, one day you may have to confront evil on its terms when you're not ready and it's impacting your life. So, we're called to get involved. I mean, it took a lot of twists and turns, and it was stressful. A lot of, frustrated moments, promising moments. I met a lot of great people, some behind the scenes tears. I saw people break down. And what I really tried to do was just stay focused, stay the course. Now, mind you, while this took up, like a full-time effort, I still had a company to run. I had employees, children of my own. So it was really burning the candles at both ends. And there came a time when Russell called me, Mr. Barnes contacted me and notified me that, Felicia had been found deceased. And, it was just a call I knew was coming. And, it was just mind-blowing. And for a moment, you kind of go, well, that's it. That's the end of everything. There's nothing else we can do. And Russell had commented about conversation he had with Delegate Jill P. Carter about potentially trying to piece together a rule or a law or hold people accountable for searching for our children. I had started to write best practices. I was developing kind of a Maryland missing persons SOP for how to engage the private sector, search groups and related to search for missing children. And I kind of got input from a lot of different people, from the Maryland State Police, Montgomery County Police Department, the then State's Attorney Doug Gansler, various FBI agents, Navy SEALs I'd contacted, and all these different people, and worked with Delegate Carter and her staff to draft the legislation that ultimately became Felicia's Law. And that process in itself was a nerve-wracking process. I can't tell you how many times that law or that legislation language was kicked back, somebody else adding something that didn't work for a different politician. I just can't tell you And ultimately, we had to kind of testify, and I had coordinated that testimony with various family members and different groups that were able to show up and just be there and show support. And days before the testimony, I got bit by a poisonous spider. I mean, the whole thing was just bizarre. And I was very sick. I was on antibiotics. And I was at the doctor's office, and they wanted to admit me into the hospital because the infection wasn't going away. I could see the infection in my veins. My veins had darkened, like it was infected, like it was going to kill me or something. It was just a horrible circumstance. And the doctor said, I hope what you're going to do is very important because you could become very ill. And it was very important. It was drafting a law and making the argument for the law that would protect children, to include my own children. And, that was part of this that, again, I was certainly working to help the Barnes family find Felicia. I always viewed myself as really working for Felicia. But I was also looking to make sure my own children were safe, that all children were safe. Ultimately, we testified, the bill was signed into law by Martin O'Malley, the family was there, and we kind of salvaged some victory out of this tragedy, but yet here we are 10 years later. I'm still connected to most of the people from the search. I've worked on other searches, other cold cases, other things. My life has changed a great deal since then. My children are mostly grown, but I'm still the protector. I'm still working to protect people and keep people safe, especially children, but now, others as well. And after the law was signed, I kind of knew my job right there at that moment was done. I was exhausted. Interestingly enough, the infection went away, and I went back to life as normal as I possibly could. We ended up having to do other things. We had to go before the Maryland Supreme Court. We had to do all these things because there was a court case and a trial where someone was ultimately acquitted or found not guilty, or the case thrown out multiple times. To this day, my position is the guilty party, no one's been held or found to be guilty in an appropriate fashion for the murder of Felicia Barnes. And the case is open, and I still believe that there's an opportunity to identify a person or people responsible for her death. And she's the only person that can fire me from this case. I'm still committed to justice for Felicia Barnes. My name is Rondeau. Thank you. Be safe.